Hello and welcome. My name is Andrew Constantine, and welcome to this episode of Social Engineering. And I want you guys just to take a moment, take a big, deep breath, and sit back and relax as we dive into some of the methods, which we're not going to talk about in this video, but in the next video, I want to run through some of the methods around social engineering, what it looks like from an attacking point of view. But in this short video, I do want to run through some examples of social engineering, and then I want to take a look at some behavioral attributes that what do you actually expect out of someone that's trying to socially engineer our company or certain staff members within our organization. All right, so if you look over to the left right here, I'm just gonna get my pen out and I'm just gonna draw on the screen. So to the left of me, I've got an email that I was actually received today. While I'm doing this recording, I thought social engineering. I did get a social engineering or an attempt of a phishing email get sent to me today, and I thought I'd include that in this demonstration for this executive leadership training workshop that we're all here together and we're all learning, and I'm having so much fun putting the material together for this course where I just really want you guys to walk away knowing something different today. And if I've done that, then it's my job well done, and I want you guys then to walk away and then spill the beans to everyone else that you work very closely with. So to the left, I've got a phishing email that was attempted to get me to click on a supposedly review here link. So let's look at this email and let's go through it together. So it was sent from this email address at stanford.edu, and it was addressed to me, my personal email address, which was today at this time. And it says, Dear Andrew, O365 has detected 9 failed messages on this date at this time. And that's great. But one key issue is I don't use O365. So why would I click on that link? And thank you very much for mentioning that Microsoft respects my privacy. If it was Microsoft, then can you please explain to me why the domain name doesn't mention Microsoft or doesn't mention anything about O365 and costs at stanford.edu? Closer review, hovering over that link and not clicking it. You just had a bunch of garbled text with what looks like a IPv4, just a normal IP address, which raised a little bit of red flag. So I wouldn't have touched that with a 9-foot pole. So that's an example of a phishing email in this case. Other forms could be, SMSs that get sent. I didn't have any SMSs or any sort of phishing SMSs being sent to me. Other cases that I've seen were instant messages where someone on Facebook may have spammed everyone, click this link and whatever, and you message back that person and say, oh, sorry, the account's been hacked and whatever the case is. Other forms can also be mail delivery forms. You might get a notification from the post office that says, hey, please call this number and, please put in the access code that says here and all the other information that's displayed. And if you turn it on the back, it actually says that there is no parcel and we're going to use the details that you've provided to us for marketing purposes. It's like, well, there was no mail at all intended for me. It's just a, whatever it is, phishing, social engineering thing for my information. So just be very wary of when things get sent to you and you're not expecting something or you're not using O365 in this case. I wouldn't click that or I wouldn't initiate any action towards that. Okay, and that's what a social engineering is in this case. It's trying to get someone to initiate an action or to give more information about something that they shouldn't be telling you. Okay, and we'll go through some more examples when we talk more about the technicalities and the technical, not the technical stuff, but more of the techniques and the methodology of things a little bit later in the next video. Now, to the right over here, I thought this would be quite fun to show you guys. This was during a physical penetration test that I did not too long ago. And as you can see, I'm holding a little something here, and this little white cable was, I think it was a phone connector going up to an uplink provider. And the yellow cable just here is the uplink to one of the routers of the service provider. I've got a USB to exfiltrate data. And then I've got a power adapter here, which goes off to my power bank that's not pictured here, which is providing power to this little bad boy. And this little bad boy is called a packet squirrel. And if you knew what the packet squirrel is, if you go and back and watch the previous episode, I do actually take you to the website where I bought the packet squirrel. And, I didn't talk about it too much, but essentially what it does is it's a man in the middle device. So I can plug this device physically in, and then it will just capture all the traffic of the network. And at this case, that's what I needed. I needed some network traffic. I wanted to understand what the IP addresses were internally, locally to that specific organization, and then capture the traffic as it goes to the uplink providers. In this case, the talk the phone provider plus the actual um, uplink to the service provider as well. So that's one part of a physical social engineering attempt. We physically gained access to the organization, physically compromised the comms room, in this case, at a data center internally on-prem. A couple of devices here, the routers and switches and firewalls and whatever that goes off. And that was the case. So as we know that social engineering can come in many, many forms, we'll talk more about them a little bit later, but what I do want to sort of raise with you guys right now is probably more around the behavior attributes. What do you expect out of a social engineering attempt? I mean, what should you look out for? What are some things and behaviors or attributes that possess a successful social engineer? So in this case, the first foundation that I would want to highly stressfully highlight is trust. You're going to have to instill some trust into someone to give you more information than they should. Now, one of these cases may be, if you're going to attack a certain company, for example, you may want to hang out at that company. So maybe some people can actually see you. Maybe you're on the level, but you're not talking to anyone. So you can just maybe be in the lift, come down, say hello to a few people. So they get the idea that, hey, maybe you work here or maybe you're just in the lift, right? So when it comes to you then asking for something in return, they may have already seen you and then they've associated you with, okay, I've seen this guy before. He's not a threat, I don't think. And then, I can get more information out of them that way. And a particular example may be, me coming on as a consultant and, getting access to the Wi-Fi keys or the Wi-Fi password particularly. So I might come in and say, hey, Bob, and hey, Mary, and you're at reception, Mary's at reception. And I might say, Mary, I'm working with Bob Dylan, and Bob's the CFO in this case. And, I've seen you around before, but he's just mentioned for me to come over and just get the Wi-Fi credentials off you because, I've put it in, but it doesn't seem to work. Can you please pop it in for me? And I'll tell you pretty much 10 out of 10 times that actually works. There's no challenge response there. Mary doesn't go back and go, hey, Bob, I've got Andrew here at reception. Is he working with you? And should I give him the Wi-Fi password? Chances are she's seen me before and she'll validate that herself that I'm not a threat because I'm not wearing a hoodie or I'm not, looking as a criminal. So chances are that, on a very highly successful chance that she'll give me information than what's intended. Ignorance. I don't mean actual ignorance. What I mean here is social engineering ignorance, where social engineering won't actually happen to our company because, hey, we're not a huge government or we don't have tens of millions of clients and tens of millions of dollars in revenue. We only generate $40 million of revenue. We only have 300 staff. What possibly could someone want? And when you think about that, that actually is so dangerous because when you are generating 30 or $40 million in revenue and you have no proper security measures, and anyone will just give out information and, more information than they should, it becomes very dangerous because now you've got access to data or information that, can be very, very dangerous in the wrong hands of someone. So, that's something that you might want to look out for. Fear, greed, and morality. Let's dive down into these each individually very quickly. So fear is basically very simple. It's instilling fear into someone, getting them to have a certain action because if they don't do it, they could get in trouble. If I'm a police officer and I've walked over to her and I've gone, hey, I'm with law enforcement, I'm working with the AFP, here's my badge, here's my thing, I need access to the comms room or I need access to a certain printer, chances are that she's probably going to comply with those because, we're, the government, we've shown her badges, maybe she doesn't know what the badge looks like and she doesn't know how to verify it. And she's just scared that, she may get in trouble if she doesn't do or respond to the authority. Okay, and one good measure to any social engineering thing that we're talking about is challenge. Challenge things that don't seem normal. If you see someone walk in and pick up a laptop and walk out, or try and take a printer out, or you have a new cleaning company or a new printer guy that walks in, or anyone that just tries to walk in and tries to get you to plug in a USB or gets you to do a certain action, get you out of your workstation so they can plug something in, or drop something so you can bend over and then they can just turn the screen off and put something else inside. And there's all sorts of things to cause distraction and to cause fear into someone, right? It's creating that illusion and that deceitfulness that something can go wrong if you don't do this now. Okay, and chances are a lot of people will fall victim to that, and they will hand out information and they shouldn't. Okay, greed. Internal employees are the biggest risk to this. If you've got a disgruntled employee and they're not happy, and they've got more rights and more access than most people in the organization, and they're quite fed up, chances are they're going to do some damage for their own self. And then having proper separation of duties to isolate those controls is a very good measure. But then what happens if you work your way backwards from the top down? Let's say you've got 3 people here that require to approve financial changes, and you work yourself back. So if you compromise these 3 people, what happens there? Okay, so there's very many ways to going around things, and I want you to be very open-minded around that. That it's just not this traditional way. It can mean it can go this way, or I can start here and start there. And I just want you guys thinking in a different mindset. Okay, and then morality is another one. Is just being a good person. You saw Andrew walking with 10 bags of coffee, and I'm going to let him through the door, even though he doesn't have a pass. He's carrying boxes. He can't physically get his pass out. I'm just going to let him through, and that's fine. Okay. No, it's not fine. Badge, access door, man trap, man trap. These are the things that are put in place to actually enforce the control and enforce safety amongst the staff and obviously the organization as well. Okay. And I think that's pretty much it. That's right. All the behaviors that I think were very critical that you should know about. And I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Social Engineering. Do join me for the next episode where we talk about the technicalities and the technical stuff, and we'll look at some of the methodologies and approaches to social engineering, and we're going to dive a little bit more deeper than we've just did. So I hope you've enjoyed yourself. Thank you for watching. If you've got any questions, let me know, and I'll see you guys very soon.